What's up, guys? I'm in the shop doing some computer work today, working on a little, not really redesign, but just tweaking of the Mini Warthog design. A couple things after doing this recent liner lock that I want to change. So this will be a little more technical video than what I've been doing with the shop updates and everything, but thought some of you might find it interesting. So I'm not super tech savvy when it comes to this stuff. I don't know how to screen record and do the voiceover and all that. I'm not even going to mess with it, but I'm going to flip the camera around, show the computer screen as well as the knife, and show y'all what I'm working on, and hopefully not bore you too much. All right, so first I want to show y'all the knife and what I'm actually going to be modifying on the design. And so this is the Mini Warthog. The main thing I'm needing to tweak on this after doing this liner lock, and I need to tweak it on the frame locks as well, is I need to move the detent ball. So you can see the detent ball hanging down right here. And it is way too close to the lock face that comes and locks up right here behind the blade to keep it open. And the other thing I'm wanting to tweak is the front of the frames. And so I'll go on the computer and I'm going to show y'all everything and kind of explain why I'm doing this. All right, so first things first, I'll show the frame part. So the frame, this was the original profile. And actually from that liner lock I just showed, it's a touch further back, but I've decided to move it even more because I have plenty of room. And so the way I can see how much room I have, I'll draw a circle here all the way out to the detent. And this is the travel of the detent. So you have to make sure it stays within the blade here before it gets to the lock, and then you don't want it, because you don't want it coming off the blade anywhere. And so that's all fine, and then the frame sticks out farther than the track, so you don't see the track when the knife is opened. And so you can see the old profile here and the new profile here, which is a good distance. It's over a 1/16 of an inch, which doesn't sound like a lot, but as you can see on something like this, it's actually a decent amount. And so that's going to get modified. And the good thing about this, I don't have to change my water jet profile or anything right now. All the current water jet blanks that I have will work just fine since I'm shrinking it, not enlarging it or changing the profile. And so you can kind of see the profile here of the water jet blank and how it starts. And so nothing has to be changed there, which is good. And it'll just give me more room for the blade grind to come further back here, closer to the frame, and then get further into the choil here. I know it's upside down, but it'll let me bring the blade grind further back, which will be good as well. And so the main reason for making this change is I figure since I've got to do one thing, may as well do both at the same time, is the detent. So this is kind of the technical part of it. So this line is the lock face of the detent track. I'm sorry, the lock face of the lock bar. So along here is where it makes contact with your blade. Typically from the tip to, about halfway is where I like to be. And what happens is, because the detent's further down than where the contact stops, if this is too close to your edge, you'll actually swell your lock face. And with the thicker frames on a frame lock, it wasn't a big deal, because when you press this in, it's not cutting any material away. When you press that ball in there, it moves it, so it has to go somewhere. And so with it that close, you actually would get a little bump here. Well, if you have all your contact in front of the detent, it doesn't matter. That bump isn't going to hit the back of the blade. Well, with the way mine are designed, from what I've learned over the years, the further down you can get in this orientation, closer to this edge, the better lock, can't talk today, the better detent you have, the better it feels, the snappier it is. because you're getting a more linear pull on the blade than pulling this way. It's actually pulling this way. So you don't get any lock bar shifting. It's actually trying to pull it in line with the frame instead of down. So I want to keep it as far down as I can, and you just have to make sure it's out of the way of all your features and everything. So originally it was from here to here, the center line was 65 thousandths. I've moved it back 25 thousandths now, so it's 0.09 here to here, which should eliminate any deviation of this lock face when I press it in. Like I said, the frame locks, it wasn't a big deal. I could just stone it down, but with the liner lock, it swelled it up so bad, I actually had to take it back to the grinder and take a 400 grit belt, square this up on the grinder, and actually flatten it back out because it gave me some really bad blade play. And so you obviously don't want that. Plus then you'll end up getting lock stick and everything because you're basically making contact on a single little hump here, and you need it more out here, and I'll draw a line and kind of show you. Typically this would be the back of the blade. You want it almost like this, essentially from 90 degrees here, straight up and down, you would be at about 89 degrees or so. You want about 1 degree difference, so you have relief here at the back and nice strong contact along the face of your lock bar behind the blade. And so the downside to all this, yes, I have a CNC, but due to my own nature and how I like to do things and keep everything consistent, I only reference 1 or 2 of these profiles of my sketches for machining the profile, drilling the detent hole and all that stuff. Well, with just how I operate, I have to make sure they're all the same, especially with drawing inlays and stuff like that. That's incredibly important too, because the inlay won't fit if I'm referencing off this frame. So for my sanity, I have to actually go through every single file I have drawn now and change the distance here for all the lock sides, and then both frames I have to change the front profile, obviously. So later on down the road, if I want to draw something on top of it, hole patterns, milling patterns, anything like that, I have to do that. But then I also have to go into my fixtures, update all of the profiles there that the machine actually references whenever I tell it what to cut. So this is going to be an entire day process doing this, because I have a lot of files for just the Warthog. It's pretty wild. And so having to go through and change it for liner locks, frame locks, inset locks. I was working on a bolster lock at one point that I want to try, not sure when it'll happen. But for the inside operations, the outside operations, all of it has to be changed. And so this kind of gives you an idea on this left side here how many different versions I have of it for referencing different things, machining different things. Like I said, liner locks, inset locks, bolster locks, composite builds with a composite show side, solid frame locks, solid titanium frame locks, everything like that. So this is something I've needed to do. It's going to be a full day process, maybe even to tomorrow, but it's something important that I feel needed to be done. So just for not even the quality of it, it's just the overall aesthetic of it, plus the detent here being moved so I don't have to keep tweaking this after I press the detent ball in. So this will make my life easier, and overall it will end up being a better change, I believe. So hope this wasn't too boring for you guys. I hope you like seeing this type of stuff. It wasn't too technical, and I'll see you on the next one.